Hi, I'm Barb Tittle from 909 Middlebury Road in Kent, and I object to the cessation of video recordings of Board Commissioners meetings when candidates were running for these open offices. I talked to them, and I specifically said, I think the most important thing is to get more contact with the 100 and some thousand people who live in Portage County and pay the taxes, which pay your salaries, which pay all the bills. And everybody said, oh yes, good idea. And now people say, oh, only up to 157 people, or maybe only 4 people even watch these videos. Obviously they don't care. You know, maybe we should just not even bother having meetings if you extrapolate that, because nobody else really cares. Well, there's some of us who do care, and who care very much. As you know, from all the meetings I've gone to over the past couple of years, until it was restricted, I couldn't come in personally, and I don't have the computer software on my computer to be able to come in via technology. And I noticed that there were comments that, oh well, we're sitting behind these plexiglass barriers. Neither of you are. And Vicki doesn't even have any side barriers on her, although she wears a mask consistently. And the complaints that you expressed today, that, oh, the audio is not good, the equipment's not good. Maybe, well, I agree, Todd's saying about the equipment, it's not the best. And it might be expensive to replace it. But none of these complaints seem to come up in the several months that you've been doing these video broadcasts until somebody complained, my goodness, you're not complying with the local, state, and federal recommendations on masking. I think it's a little coincidental and even disingenuous. Also, I agree with Treasurer Cromes' comment about sunshine being a good, or the best, well not necessarily the best, but a good disinfectant. I agree with that. And I think that, you know, ignoring the 4 people or the 157 people who wanted to watch these meetings and saying, oh, you guys don't really matter, because you're just a tiny percentage of the population. So, you know, we'll just push you aside. Also, has anyone, I don't know if you watch very much TV, but there's a Febreze commercial showing a bathroom with the lid up on the toilet. Somebody flushes the toilet, all this stuff comes out and odor comes out, and therefore you should buy Febreze deodorant. Well, the same is true when you don't wear a mask. You speak, or especially if you sneeze or cough, all that stuff comes out. And it isn't stopped by these barriers. It goes up and out, and goes for more than just a few inches or a couple of feet. And, I mean, if you really want to avoid some of that Febreze toilet stuff coming out of there, you could get a covered cloth pad on your toilet seat. Put the toilet seat down before you flush it. And the same when you're speaking. You can wear a mask over your nose and mouth. And it really does make a difference. Why do you think doctors wear masks in the first place, especially when there's surgery? To avoid spreading germs to their patients who are ill, and to patients out there that you may see in the grocery store who are immunocompromised and you don't know it, or people who might want to come in for one of these meetings. So, the bottom line is that the health director in the county has recommended that you wear masks. The state governor has recommended that you wear a mask, and he's not going to force anybody to do it because he doesn't want people complaining to high heavens, oh, I'm this, I'm that, blah, 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 blah. And the federal government has recommended that people wear masks to cut down on exposure. And like I say, I didn't notice any of these complaints in the many months that you've been doing this broadcasting until somebody noticed that you weren't following government regulations. Bottom line, I think it's not a good optic, as they're saying these days, to just say, oh, if you want to come to the meeting in person and you're in here before anybody else comes in, so you're fewer than 10 people in the room, or if you want to listen to it just on audio, well, then you have a right to know what's going on, how the county commissioners are spending your money. But if you don't want to be exposed to county commissioners who don't like to wear masks, well, tough luck.
Well, Barb, I'd
Thank
like
you
to
for-
just make a comment to one of your statements.
Go ahead.
We have only been meeting in session for today marks 1 month.
Is that all?
That,
Yeah.
yes, in public and are in person, and this is where we're having the problems with the Zoom, trying to do Zoom in meetings. It has nothing to do with the health department, or actually the paper noting that I wasn't wearing a mask and Tony wasn't wearing a mask. This only has been onset since we started in-person meetings and trying to do the Zoom. There being a problem with the quality of hearing, the screen freezing. I mean, we were in the session on Tuesday and we had someone screaming that was on a Zoom meeting when Todd Peets was presenting to us.
Somebody
They couldn't
screaming
hear.
at Todd Peets.
That's
weird.
what?
That's
No.
that's
He was the one speaking.
No, he
Somebody
was speaking, he was doing a presentation, but we had some people trying to listen in on Zoom, and they started screaming, "We can't hear it!" I mean,
Oh.
that's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry.
So to say that this only came about because, you know, the paper called out that two of us were not, it is not a fair statement. It's only been happening for a month, and it's because when we came back to meeting in public, so I just wanna
Well, it seems
clarify that
like
for
more than a
you.
couple of months ago that I talked to Amy about tuning in to the meetings. And so I thought it's been going on for at least
No,
more than
our
a
first
month.
meeting, actually today marks
Last
a month. Yeah, that's why I was looking on my phone. We came back January 28th and today's February 25th. It's been exactly 4 weeks. So, and that's when we started noticing, it's like, well, we're not really required. And the thing that we're trying to hide something is also an interesting concept that the papers are trying to spin. Because all we're doing actually is going back to what we did pre the pandemic, and actually we're looking to enhance it in that before, if you wanted a copy of the audio of our meetings,
I heard what
you
you
had to
said.
pay $1. We're looking to put those audio meetings online that you can actually click on them and listen to them anytime that you want, and there's no extra cost to you.
Mhm.
So we are trying to, you know, work with the public, and there's nothing to hide. I mean, as you know, we're the only elected officials that are required to do everything in a public session. Any decision or discussion that happens
City
among at
councils
least
do.
two of us.
I've gone to many city council meetings and they have it open except for things like executive sessions.
Yeah, but I'm talking about as far as like county elected officials. You bring up Brad Cromes, I mean, do you watch his investment meetings on Zoom? Because he
I'm not
doesn't Zoom
interested in
them.
his investment meetings.
I think he does too.
Is
But I
his
doubt if he gets very
investment
many people to
meetings
watch.
are Zoom? I didn't think they were, because I asked yesterday.
But if I were interested in it, I would.
Yeah, and I know just now the Budget Commission finally started Zooming, but up until this point, no one was Zooming.
What you're saying on the
Are
county
you talking
level.
about in person or Zooming? Because,
Zoom, did I say in person? I said Zoom.
well,
No one's,
because they were Zooming when I was on the Red Chromas thing. We were
Okay.
Zooming. We were doing it at home.
I
just
mean,
like
you were,
do.
but was it open to the public to sit in on your meeting, is my question?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it was? Because I asked yesterday and they said no.
And the land bank was also open because,
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes more sense than a lot of people, but it is open to the public, but anyways, I just wanted to clarify that for you. It had nothing to do, and actually, I had mentioned both to Vicky and Tony, even before the mask, issue came up, that we might wanna consider just going back, because we were having issues with people on Zoom, because we don't have the proper system. And like I said, we're just discontinuing it. I mean, I'm willing to look into, you know, a system where we can go back to maybe streaming, but I know we had that before. And it's not here because we paid a lot of money for a system that didn't
I
work.
can understand the
Yeah.
money issue. I can
Mhm.
understand that because I'm always against overspending. But
Yeah.
since we can't come in person, I really think that somewhere between 4 and 157 people were watching it. And
But-
those people are not
Yeah.
going to be able to watch it.
But again, they weren't watching it necessarily, they're looking at the clicking was not during our actual meeting. they would review it like after work
It's
or.
still the same because
Well,
most people can't get in this
You'll
time of
be
day.
able to do that though with the audio, is what I'm telling you. You're still gonna be able to hear everything that we do or say if we download the audio of today's meeting. And the bonus to it compared to what we did prior to the pandemic is, you're not gonna have to pay to get it on a disc. Before, Amy didn't download it to the county website. You had to pay $1, and I'm sure Mr. Ames can verify, because he used to pay $1 every week to get a copy of it. We now are gonna have it where you can click on it, and you can listen to the audio, as if you were here.
Well, I stand by my comments and my opinion. Thank you for your time and
All right,
attention.
thank you, Barb. Glad you come.